Yeah, I actually don't think you need to worry.
You know what I mean? It was just like, fuck it, add
I'm
more
pretty
weight.
sure the leg press. So I've always said this, right? That the leg press, the range of motion doesn't need to be crazy like everyone's going on about.
Yeah.
And like my thought process was just like the articulation of the muscles.
Yeah.
So because they're like multi-pennate, like the pennation in the muscle itself, like it just means that they're going to generate force at like without like greater muscle lengths, right? Because they're still generating force the whole time.
Yes.
So then that would mean that it doesn't really matter like how much knee flexion you get, like to a degree.
Yeah.
And then, look at the data and that would also complement that theory.
Yes.
So like I've never really kind of looked for an excessive amount of range of motion on the leg press, but I know that, all this data comes out about range of motion and then we get caught into stretch mediated hypertrophy. So then every single exercise is like, you kind of get, you're almost pushed. Like, cause even sometimes I'm like, should I do more? But it's like...
So then to add to that point, there's a leg extension in this gym. You know how you can buy the fucking thing that goes on?
Yeah, I need to get...
Well, so this thing does that without it.
Yeah.
It's fucking...
mad.
The stretch
Is it
position...
a Cybex one?
I don't even... It's like maybe a Life Fitness one from like 1997.
Yeah, I feel like the Life Fitness one we have, like, it just needs another option to... like how it goes back with 3. It's like it needs a 4th one.
This thing has it. So I set up with Adrian on a Panada with seatbelt reclined fucking thing. This leg press is like within 2 inches of that as it is.
That's amazing.
You just sit in it, put a fucking pin in and off you go. So I'm like, well, I don't really need to worry about lengthening the quad because I'm lengthening the fuck out of it in a position that I'm trying to train shortened anyway.
Absolutely.
And it's amazing. So I feel like I'm just going to ego lift the fuck out of it and single leg press the stack. Fuck everyone.
It's funny, like, think about what we would have done when we were like 23 or something.
More.
We would have just like lifted more weight.
Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't it funny? You just go full circle. I know nothing. I just go train hard, lift heavy, and it's like, all this stuff is this overcomplication of muscle length and stuff, and it's like, I'm just going to train hard, lift heavy.
Yeah,
again.
it's the Jedi meme of the bell curve.
Yeah.
It's
crazy
hilarious
how that works.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah.
So I know I'm cutting your grass here, but the topic of today is why you're not building muscle.
Yeah, well, it's why
just lift heavier on the fucking leg press.
We build muscle.
Stop worrying about ROM so much.
Maybe you build muscle, or maybe you think you build muscle and you're not, or you may not be building the muscle that you want.
Yeah.
And I definitely think like some of that is a little bit of paralysis by over-analysis.
Yeah, because when I did it, I was like, I can create more tension and more force without this thing behind me, even though the range of motion is greater.
Yeah. There has to be a point.
There's got to be a trade-off that, like, if I feel unstable and I use less weight, that just doing 2 inches less.
I think on the leg press, that's a very comfortable position to land on. Because you don't need a large amount of range of motion on a leg press, right? Like, we've already kind of said, like, the evidence would suggest that it's okay to do a shorter range of motion and just, like, push hard on the loadability, component. Like the access of range of motion doesn't have to be there.
So you train in a really different environment to me and internet. Do you think that range of motion is still... The thing was always ego lifting short reps.
Yeah.
Do you see more of that now, or do you see more people chasing excessive range of motion?
I think if you're newer to... So let's look at the we'll call it the character journey, right? So you're new to the gym, you're... I guess like innate behavior is to lift as heavy as you can because you're watching other people and you're gradually going up in strength, right? So I think that when you're a beginner, like that's what you're driving like that. When you move to an intermediate, you're like, oh, well, I can't do what I just did. Like to continue on, there has to be something else that I'm missing, right? So you educate yourself on, human movement and hypertrophy training. And you're like, okay, well, I need to have an element of deceleration to my reps, and I need to have an increase in or a hyper focus on range of motion, right? So because you haven't done that up until this point, you're going to experience some gains from that.
Yep.
Right? And
novel stimulus.
So then you're going to associate the move to the next echelon of your progress all the way down to just that.
Yeah. So
if a little bit is good, more is better. So that's probably where...
Dislocate your shoulders on that pec fly machine, sir.
So that's usually the character journey up until that point. And then where I think you the people that get to the other side of it without being injured are the ones that take a combination of like the phase 1 of the journey and phase 2 together. They're like, all right, so there's some movements where, you know, you're going to be able to access some real extreme muscle lengths, and you do want to do that with control, but the goal is always to try and load the muscle, as much as you can, which is appropriate for their movement. So they're the people that are gonna, and then there's exercises that are loadable, but you're not going to access a heavy amount of range of motion. So you just need to know what you're working with and why.
Yeah.
And then there's people who will just either maybe get stuck in that range of motion and tempo kind of world and never really make like a significant amount of progress again.
Yeah.
Or you'll have those people that just go back to...
Until they go to powerlifting and then...
Well, yeah.
Muscle again.
And then you'll have those people that clang and bang forever. And
hurts.
Well, when they get to like 30, 35, it's like, you know, my knees are fucked, my shoulders are cooked, my elbows fucked. Like, you know, and then they just tell you about how much they used to lift. So, you know, I split the journey up from 2 to 3 there.
Yeah.
But I feel like they're the most common kind of paths that people make, right? Yeah. Which all of them are going to build muscle to a point. It's just like, I feel like when you lift heavy and you have control and you think about range of motion, like if you do that together, if you have those 3 things in your thought process to your training philosophy, you're going to last longer.
Yeah.
You know, because we talk about this all like heaps, the generation before us, all of them, once they're 35 plus, they're just like, oh, I'm fucked.
Yeah.
So now I've adopted this new training style that you all should adopt.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. That I didn't use to look like this.
Correct. Yeah. It's like, hang on a minute, bro.
Yeah.
So then the new generation go, well, I shouldn't clang and bang ever.
Yeah.
Or there's less of them, sorry.
Yeah.
And then I feel like that's where we've talked about this in the past, where you don't get people walking around with like a real good set of traps, for example. Because traps mean strong. Yeah, you can't, like, very few people are like walking around with a great set of traps that have never trained ever.
Yeah.
So you don't get that foundation of like strength. And
Do you think hammies are the same?
Hammies? Potentially.
I don't know many people with
glutes are probably.
See, I feel like there's
glutes
a lot
on guys,
of people.
Glutes on guys, because glutes on guys because they don't target them specifically. So if you saw a guy, like, think about it, man. Like, you see a dude with like a fucking, and I mean this in like the most
this double cheeked.
But you see
double cheeked up.
If you see a guy who's fucking got a couple of melons on the back, like, you instantly go, that guy is
strong.
That guy's either strong or really fucking fast.
Yeah,
they're the two things. He's either an athlete.
Yeah,
he's an athlete or he's a fucking lifter.
Yeah,
like, so that's usually the litmus test for me. It's like, and then if they got both, you're like, this guy's a fucking beast.
I'm scared. I was just thinking from girls, like, obviously, like, the trap development's still a thing.
I think the girls, it's the arms, man. Like the delts.
Delts are a good one.
But if you've got biceps and triceps too, like, think about like, so look at like, you've got like a bikini athlete who's trying to build a silhouette.
Yeah.
But then you just look at that like seasoned CrossFitter that just has that thickness in their arm, like the arm hang and the delt. It's like, that's a different look, bro.
Strong,
that's a different look altogether.
Yeah, I think coming from the powerlifting backgrounds, it's like, it's pretty posterior dominant quite a lot.
Yeah.
So I'm like, if I see a girl with hamstrings, because like there's girls that don't lift that have big glutes.
Yeah, I think for the girls, it's the whole silhouette of the leg.
Yeah.
Like, if you've got like that, your outer quad is like bulging, and then you've got that like teardrop of like the hamstring and the glute, like all together in that silhouette, you're like, that's a strong fucking person.
Training legs with you is gonna be a challenge.
Yeah. It's like, you can move some fucking weight. You know? But everyone's got them, right? So everyone's got that vision of what it is. It could be different for everybody.
I think like you mentioned the CrossFitter thing. I think erectors are it too.
Yeah, erectors are a good sign.
Girl walk past in a crop top with like 2 fucking pipes of the erectors, and you're like, okay, she's strong.
Yeah. And then if that leads up to traps, it's like, whoa. Yeah. Anyway, enough muscle worshipping, eh? So where do you sit on the range of motion to the loadability spectrum? Like, do you think that we should always be trying to search for range of motion, like, or should we, like, are there elements of when you can just do short range of motion exercises with heavy lifts?
I think the program should be designed to have both.
Of course.
So I would prioritize loadability early in the session and then progress into isolation, less complexity of exercise with greater range of motion.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I just think there's some movements where like more range of motion just should never be the intention.
Yeah.
Like people always like, hey, sure, like the bench press, for example, right? Like it's not a great hypertrophy exercise because the range of motion is so short. But then you're like, well, what are you making up in total muscle activation of the upper body and the extra kilos? Like what are you making up? And the stability of just like having the bar.
Yeah.
Because we were all talking about how stability is a major component to activating enough muscle fibers to stimulate, right? So then I still feel like there has to be a trade-off you're willing to work with.
Yep.
And then it's like, well, whatever you're losing in that exercise, like, can't you get it back somewhere else? Like that's the best thing about that's the best thing about physique training. It's like you can get what you didn't get out of one movement somewhere else,
Yeah. I think I fell into that trap a lot because the bench press is a very unfavorable exercise for me for pec development. We both just got a message at the same time.
Yeah, it's like that's a business.
It's a group chat somewhere. It's super unfavorable for me, I would say, to build my pecs.
Yeah.
But the pec progress I made last year, I can't pretend there's no correlation with the fact that I can bench 150.
Yeah.
It's like my incline press is better, my Smith machine press is better, my cable fly is better because I can bench 150.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's also for me, like we talked about it on one of the YouTube sessions, like a shoulder press for me, you were really wide and you were like, yo, I get a little bit of front delt, I get a little bit of lateral delt and it works really nicely. If I come out that wide, it just fucking hurts.
Yeah, that's just it.
So I'm like, this is a front delt, this is an upper body strength exercise for me that happens to train the front delt more than anything else. But it means that I can lat raise 17s to 20s. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think
it's too pigeonholed to look at either as the thing.
I agree. Yeah, I think you just got to have more. Know that they're both an element to play with, and then you're just like, this is for this and that's for that.
Yeah.
That's where I like to look through those lenses of just like loadability and then access to range of motion. And like some of those will overlap. Like you'll have something that's really loadable and like it's a great, active range of motion for the exercise. But then there's others that you just won't.
Yeah. Is that a good example? Pendulum squat?
Well, pendulum squat's really loadable and it's got a great range of motion.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fantastic example of a combination of both, which is why if you have access to one, like that should be the focal point of your anterior leg development.
Yeah.
But if you don't have it, it's like, it's fine. Just find other things. And then if you don't have a great range of motion in any of your leg training, you'll be able to stimulate the muscle with 2 exercises across
each end of the range.
Yeah. Correct. So
it's funny. That's what we used to talk about.
Yeah, we just like train it over a week, not an exercise.
Yeah, it was like I put this bicep curl in because it's shortened. I put this one in because it's lengthened, and that's how we used to write programs like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And now it's like everything's ROM.
Yeah, you have to do everything for every exercise.
Yeah.
Like as much as possible, which, I don't know how much I agree with that, to be honest. So I think if you get on the other side of that, that's what we're talking, right? So to make the most gains, like if you get on the other side of like just deciding like loadable or range of motion, or if it's got a combination, you'll make the most progress.
Yeah.